Ladies and gentlemen, your host tonight is quite hammered. Frick. I'll have to look back on the recording to see if that messed up the actual display, because I meant to try and hit the pause button, but I ended up grabbing the actual screen cap that my webcam is recording and dragged it down a little bit. I probably should not be recording, but oh my gosh. I mean, it's a rivalry game against the Habs. You can't really expect me you can't really expect me to be sober during a game against the Habs. Either way, my friends, frick, where is the thing? I found it. Bruins fans, it is now time, get out! Because that is a 4-2 victory over the Montreal Canadiens for the Bruins. And that, welcome back to Into the Den, everybody. First of all, in response to the video of last game, thank you guys so much for the support that you've given in for that episode. What you are seeing above me right now is my view when I look to see how good my videos are doing. And this past video, I Samant, and the game against the Sharks is my most viewed video this season that did not have to do with the Bruins signing or releasing Mitchell Miller. And while I am very grateful that the videos about Mitchell Miller did so well, first of all, I'm not happy about the circumstance that I had to make those videos in. I would rather that the Bruins didn't sign Mitchell Miller in the first place. And second of all, it's good to know that that some of my videos outside of the realm of major team controversy, such as the signing of Mitchell Miller, are doing at least decent. And so to the 27 people that watched the last video, thank you so much. And I hope you guys at least enjoy the new uptick in video quality. My guitar has been picking up a lot better, I hope, and I hope that I am able to make this like a little less jarring, and also the fact that it's able to fill the whole screen instead of just be compressed into like this weird aspect ratio that can't fit anything into it. But tonight is not about me. Tonight isn't even really about the Bruins versus the Habs. The Habs versus the Hab-Nots. Because honestly, a Bruins game against a Habs team that is lost more than 10 players to IR doesn't really even feel like a game against the Habs. I mean, some of these notable players include right winger Joe Armias, right winger Cole Caulfield, left winger Paul Byron, left winger Jonathan Drouin, left winger Juraj Slavkovsky, center Jake Evans, and most of all, goalie Carey Price. Also goalie Jake Allen, which means that the starting goalie for tonight is one that always gives me fits. Look, would the Bruins have won this game if it was Carey Price in goal? I don't know. And that's to have that ambiguity up in the air, and have that ambiguity over whether or not your team is going to win based on which goaltender you're going up against is kind of not great. But I'll tell you one thing. Samuel Montembeault, whenever he plays against the Bruins, he plays his butt off. Like the Bruins have definitely outplayed the Habs, have definitely outplayed the Canadiens a lot more over the past several years than the Canadiens have outplayed the Bruins. But for some freaking reason, whenever Samuel Montembeault is in net for the Habs, the Bruins always have a hard time. And that was especially seen here, which brings us to start of the game, puck drops, and less than 5 minutes into the game, Bergeron forgets what team he plays for. Remember all those jokes in the offseason we were telling ourselves about how Bergeron's gonna go to Montreal. No, wouldn't that be freaking hilarious? First of all, no, not hilarious. It would suck if Bergeron went to Montreal. And second of all, there was actually no sort of like general understanding as to whether or not Bergeron was going to go to Montreal in the offseason. Although considering the fact that his player, the guy who used to be his agent is apparently working with the Habs now, we at least know for a fact that Bergeron was not directly linked to the Habs in any sort of meaningful way. But Bergie, I love you. I'm wearing your freaking jersey right now. Look at this. Number 37. My favorite player in NHL history. You cannot be slapping the puck out of the air, almost scoring on your own goalie. Like the shots at the end of the game were 29-22 for the Bruins, and at the end of the first period they were 11-7 for the Bruins. It should have been 11-8 for the Bruins and 29-23 for the Habs. Because the way that Bergeron smacked this puck out of the air, it went right into Swayman's wheelhouse. And a little bit later, Marchand ends up going for hooking on Nick Suzuki, and so we get the best penalty kill in the league versus the 31st best power play in the league, the second worst power play in the league, and by golly, it looks like it. I swear to God, the Bruins on this first power play, on this first penalty kill, get better chances on net than the Habs do when the Habs are on the power play. And throughout the entire first period, it looks like the Bruins are just getting the better opportunities. They're just not finishing on Montembeault. So we go into the first period tied at 0, and then we go into the second period. Puck drops, and really quickly, Josh Anderson ends up tripping Taylor Hall. So we get the third best power play in the league, the Bruins, against the 26th best penalty kill in the league. That's 32, 31, 30th, 29th, 28th, 27th, 26th. The 7th worst penalty kill in the entire league. And for some reason, Sam Montembeault decides to do Sam Montembeault things and just decides to completely brick up against the Bruins. And Pavel Zacha, God bless his soul, I love him. He turns into the king of almost once again. There were several good opportunities that this man had on this specifically on this power play that he just could not connect on. Hell, in the first period, I'm pretty sure there was a really good opportunity that Grzelcyk had that he just completely fumbled it. The goal was pretty much wide open, and he had daylight ahead of him, and he just completely fumbles the puck. The Habs end up killing the penalty, and shortly afterwards, the Habs are back on the power play. This is because Derek Forbort, our best penalty killer in the and possibly the best penalty killer in the entire NHL. Again, Jack Edwards loves to bring up the fact that that without him, the Bruins have like a 90% penalty kill percentage. That with him on the ice, we have like a 90% penalty kill percentage, and without him on the ice, we have like a 75% penalty kill percentage. Anyway, our best penalty killer decides to just completely lay out Nick Suzuki, and then almost get into a fight with with Pizzetta. Both Forward and Pizzetta go for unsportsmanlike conduct. Those penalties offset because Forward also ends up going for interference on Suzuki. Anyway, this 31st best power play ends up scoring on us. Ain't that funny? Mike Hoffman ends up doing a beautiful cross-ice pass to Kirby Dach, who just completely swoops in like a flying frickin' squirrel. He just swoops down and chips the puck in past Swayman. Honestly, I can't blame anybody. Honestly, I can't blame Swayman on this one. Who is guarding Kirby Dach on that one? And just as a quick aside, I truly do not think that anybody cares about Mike Hoffman in this league. And I don't mean that as anything against his play. No, Mike Hoffman is honestly a pretty good forward. But unless he is dumped his girlfriend and freaking what's her name? Monica Carrick. Unless he has dumped his girlfriend, Monica Carrick, nobody should care about Mike Hoffman. Okay, I'm sorry. I like Mike Hoffman as a player, but enabling your girlfriend to make just the worst comments ever about your own teammate's wife's miscarriage is just reprehensible. So Mike Hoffman, I don't care that you scored like 36 goals in 2019. Unless you managed to dump your girlfriend who freaking mocked Erik Karlsson's wife for having a miscarriage, you can piss right off. Maybe I'm running my mouth a little bit. I mean, frick. God bless Trader Joe's for this. Look, it's an original six matchup, and not just an original six matchup. It's an original six matchup between the Bruins and the Canadiens, the most heated rivalry in at least the realm of the NHL. I don't want to say in the realm of North American sports because there is freaking Celtics versus Lakers. There is Red Sox versus Yankees. There is Cowboys versus Eagles. But in the NHL, hoo boy, Red Wings and Avalanche can try. Freaking Maple Leafs and Habs can try. Maple Leafs and Bruins can try. But nothing is surpassing Bruins and Canadiens. And so that is why I drank 3 beers tonight. I'm not sorry. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. After this power play goal from Kirby Dach, Mike Hoffman ends up going for slashing, and the Bruins end up tying it on this one. And this isn't just any goal. In fact, David Pastrnak probably had the best game of anybody tonight. Dude had 4 points tonight, including the empty net goal. Which means he had a point he had an assist on all 3 previous Bruins goals, including this one, which was honestly really, which was not only really good for the Bruins, but particularly for Taylor Hall. For those of you who don't know, Taylor Hall came into this game not scoring a single goal in the previous 16 games. So David Pastrnak ends up getting a cross-ice pass. I forget from who. he shoots from pretty much his spot. You know his spot. It's his office. It's the left face-off dot. He shoots from there. Sam Montembeault makes the save, but doesn't fall on the puck, so it's still loose. And Taylor Hall is just right on in the near post to pick up the rebound, and he just tucks it in the open space to finally break his drought and tie the game at 1. And just before the end of the period, Charlie McAvoy trying to keep the high of his performance in that Sharks game from 2 days ago. He pretty much dangles the entire Canadiens defense, but in doing so, he gets just a little carried away and ends up high-sticking Pinard. That sends him to the box, and that ends the second period. Third period, puck drops, and not long afterwards, we end up getting 54 seconds of a 4-on-4 penalty thanks to Mike Matheson and ending up cross-checking Brad Marchand. The Bruins kill off the rest of... now, there's good news and bad news. The good news is the Bruins end up killing off the rest of Charlie McAvoy's penalty. That's the good news. So they get one of their best penalty killers back on the ice. The bad news is that the Bruins end up playing really sloppy on that power play, and the Habs end up killing it. But it doesn't matter, because remember David Pastrnak? He ends up trying to snipe from the freaking blue line, trying to pull a freaking Hampus Lindholm on us. And who's there in the high slot but David Krejci? Pasta pretty much just tries to blast it on net. Krejci is right there in the middle to redirect it to one of the posts, and Sam Montembeault can't really see it because what's he looking at? He's looking at David Krejci. Bruins are up 2-1. But remember the way that Taylor Hall scored earlier this game? Yeah, well, Kirby Dach not being satisfied with just one goal tonight, he decides, you know what? I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna do that exact same thing. Alex Belzil, on just his second assist of the season, ends up putting a puck on net. Swayman can't really handle it correctly, and Kirby Dach is just there to put the puck in and tie the game at 2. And we're into the Ford F-150 Final 5. No, I haven't. Sorry, I thought that I was recording for this entire time. Anyway, yeah, we are into the Ford F-150 Final 5. And during this time, in the last 2.5 minutes, Bergeron ends up winning a face-off. Honestly, ends up winning a face-off, which, by the way, I have to commend the Habs on this. They did really well on the face-off tonight. I know winning the face-off is not exactly the height of competitive play, but at the same time, winning kind of comes from the smallest of things, and one of those small things happens to be winning the face-off. So for the Bruins to end up winning this game despite losing the face-off more often than not, it was a little bit concerning that the Bruins did so well despite doing so poorly from the face-off dot. Anyway, Bergeron ends up winning the face-off and passing it right to Pastrnak, who blasted on goal. Well, Sam Montembeault again cannot make the glove save, and so Bergeron ends up following up on the rebound on the open net to put the Bruins up 3-2 with about 2:45 left. Less than 30 seconds later, the Canadiens pull Sam Montembeault, and from there, David Krejci ends up nabbing the puck from Mike Hoffman. And in the neutral zone, he passes it to David Pastrnak, who pretty much snipes from the red line. And that ends up putting the game away at 4-2. Bruins kill off the rest of 48 and a half seconds left in the game, and that secures the Bruins' 38th win of the season. And that it's not just the 38th win of the season. This win also secures the Bruins' 80th point in the standings. This is by no exaggeration the best start to a season for any team. Not just since the I know people have been bringing up the 1929-1930 Bruins. And that's all well and good. That's all well and good. It's great that the Bruins have had this great success in the past. But for a more recent level of success and just a little bit of salt in the wound of Habs fans, this is the best start to a season that any team has had since the 1977 Montreal Canadiens. And it's not just on pace to tie that record. It's on pace to break it. And what's better? You got some pretty good news heading into this game. As has been speculated and also pretty much confirmed by Bruins head coach Jim Montgomery, Jake DeBrusk has been making really good progress on his broken leg. As you can see by this article from BostonGot.com, Jim Montgomery has provided a really good update on DeBrusk, saying that he might be able to come back before the All-Star game. Sorry, the All-Star break. But honestly, you know what? I don't want him back before the All-Star break. Now, sure, it is really promising that he is able to come back before that All-Star break. But I don't want to run the risk. This team has been playing lights out. I do not want to run the risk of one of the best offensive products that we have potentially further injuring himself and potentially putting himself out of commission for the rest of the season. You dolt, that happens pretty much every time a player takes the ice. You know, that is true. That is true. Every time a player takes the ice, they run the risk of not playing again for the rest of the season. Hell, sometimes they even risk the possibility of never playing again for the rest of their life. But we are not here to discuss those incredibly rare chances. We're here to discuss someone who is not entirely 100%, potentially coming back for possibly one game before a week and a half long break. I would rather potentially take a loss when we are already over 10 points above second place in the entire league. I mean, frick. Just look at this. We are first in the league. Second place is 14 points behind us. The gap between number 1 and number 2, which by the way is a 3-way tie, is the same as the gap between number 2 and number 18. I would rather us take potentially a loss that doesn't mean much if it means not rushing a player back from injury so much. I love Jake DeBrusk, and I think that his impact on the Boston Bruins is noticeable. But let me ask you this: would you rather us rush back an impact player to potentially win back 2 points that don't matter that don't end up mattering with how insane our team has been playing anyways, or would you rather rush him back from injury and potentially ruin him for would you rather potentially ruin him? Sorry, I had to sneeze there. Would you rather rush him back from injury and potentially ruin him for the rest of the season? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, the Bruins' next game is at Amalie Arena against the frickin' Tampa Bay Lightning. And while we've definitely been better than Tampa this season, I wouldn't sleep on them just yet. After all, Nikita Kucherov is still absolutely lighting up the league. Like, that dude is probably good for another run at the for another good-hearted run at the Art Ross Trophy before he inevitably gets suspended in the first round again. Anyway, that's gonna do it from me for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. There's the like button. There's my channel. There's my most recent video. There's my Twitch.tv and Tampa Bay Thrives. I will see you guys again on Thursday. Take care.